Hello friends, this is the second video of Business Analytics Complete course. I will mention this lesson topics in caption. So let's get started. In previous video, we talked about what are analytics and its benefits. Let's move on to the next part of the course, which is analytics and reporting. Don't forget, we are still in the introduction course. Analytics today is a loosely used word, so it includes a whole gamut of activities, starting from basic Excel report creation to advanced analytics like prediction and optimization. So it includes many activities under its members. Let's go one by one to understand what those activities are. What are all activities that fall under the word analytics? Okay, so let's start with the bottom one, which is the raw and the clean data. So, as I have been telling in this course, the foundation for analytics is data, and the data management is a clean data. So, it's the foundation, and without this, we can't connect even the basic report or the analytics. So, this is the foundation. The next two are the standard report and the ad hoc report, right? So, what is a standard report? A standard report on something like the monthly quarterly report of the company. So let's take the same deal. Exemplify the standard report for Intel would be okay. What are the overall revenues that the company is making in a month as compared to last year or last month? So those are the standard report. This standard report tell what has happened, what is the revenue, how much it has grown from last year, how much it has grown from last month, and so on. The next one are the ad hoc report. The ad hoc report are one of reports which are generated on its required basis. These are not generated on a monthly basis. For example, if we wanted to know what is the revenue split by 3G and by SMS and the normal cost, it can do the ad hoc reporting split by these revenue items. So those are your ad hoc report. Then we on to the query drill down. One example from the standard report, you see that the revenues in this month have dropped significantly from last month as well as last year. So then that is a concern. You see that the revenues in this month have dropped significantly from last month as well as last year. So then that is a concern. So you get into drill down. Where exactly is the problem? You will see the data and see that that is okay. Are there any state where the revenue is coming down, or is it normal phenomena across all of the states? So, so that we don't really tell you where exactly is the problem. Then, once you identify the problem, you need to decide what action are required. So you need to do a statistical analysis to understand why this is happening. Example, let's say Erdal all in this month revenue has dropped. They identified that there are two states where the revenue has dropped significantly, whereas in other states that revenue is constant. Now you have to conduct analysis to understand why in certain blue states, let's say southern state of India, the two southern state of India, you need to understand why the revenue has dropped so that you can take corrective action. So this analysis will tell you, is there any network issue which caused the drop in revenue, um, or are we losing the customers, or it will slow down on getting the new customer. So what exactly is happening will be uh, will be the outcome of this statistical analysis. Then the next two parts are focus and predict. Let's say if this trend is going to continue, there is some network issue or we are losing customers. What is going to happen? What will be the forecast of, which would be revenue down? That is your forecast and prediction. And finally, the optimization. And finally, the optimization part is like how do we should be the corrective action? What information, what strategy change that we need to do? For example, if there is a network problem, should we need a leverage other, let's say, ideas network, when there is network done in the particular state? Those are your decision outcomes. How do we optimize to gain back the revenue that we lost? In summary, it starts from data, the clean data. Then it moves to the basic or the standard reporting. Then it goes to analytics, which is doing the analysis, and then focusing on prediction and optimization to decide what strategy should we take. So if you see the exact 6 year, so so the x-axis here is a degree of intelligence. So as you move on your right hand side, because especially as you move higher, the intelligence and the complexity required increases, because standard report, ad hoc reports, many companies do. But if you want to do analytics, if you want to do focusing, if you want to do prediction or optimization, a higher degree of intelligence is required. So again, if you see on the y-axis, companies which are good in analysis, focusing prediction and optimization, they have the highest competitive advantage. So as we have seen in the benefits of analytics, the companies which are deploying analytics are having much higher revenues and profit as compared to companies that are not. So the more complex analytics the companies deploy, the more is competitive advantage for those companies. We go to the next one. This is a granular level, and let's get into the same analytics that can do them at a high level broadly. There are four activities within the analytics. One, descriptive analytics, which tells what has happened. For example, in the case of ITIL, we saw that the revenues are dropping. That is your description and just describing what is happening. The next one is diagnostic analysis. So, as the word says, a diagnostic is a diagnosis, right? For example, when you go to the or when you go to see a doctor, what does he do? He does the diagnosis. You will understand why the fee would have happened by doing some blood test, by doing some other kind of test. So diagnostic analysis is why did it happen. An example, it could be that there are two southern states where the revenue has been dropping. So you will know from diagnostic analysis what those two states are and what is the impact the overall. Then the next one is predictive analysis. Predictive analysis. What is likely to happen? Okay, is this trend available, or is this trend visible only in these two states, or is it going to increase or spread to other states? You know, that is your analysis. Or um, if the trend in these two states is continuing, what will be the impact on the overall day when that is predictive analytics, or what will happen? Then the final one, which is more advanced one, is a prescriptive analysis. Again, taking the doctor's example. So after doing, the doctor does their diagnostic, he will do a prescription, so he can give you what treatment you should take, so so that your fever will come down at the same as it is here. So once you analyze what happened, you will have to decide the strategy, and we have strategies to counter the revenue drop that we saw in the oil company, and implement the strategy. So that is your prescriptive analytics. So broadly, again, four things described exactly what happened. Diagnostic analytics will tell you why did it happen. Predictive analytics will tell you what will happen in the future if this continues. And finally, the prescriptive analytics will tell you what action should be taken. That is your prescriptive analytics. So as you can see on the top right, so is analyzing, predicting, and act. So this will be a part of your descriptive. Prediction is a mix of predictive and diagnostic. And finally, the prescription. You can see on the right hand side, you have this bar chart. What this means is that most of the companies survived. 99% of them have descriptive analytics. So they know, they have the basis and the standard reports to tell what is the revenue they are making, and how has been the revenue growth from last year to this year, or month to this month. So 99% of the companies have this basic information. But if you move up diagnostic analysis, only 33% of companies deploy diagnostic analysis to understand why the revenue is increasing or why the revenue dropping. If you go further, only 13% of the companies use predictive analytics. Again, since the complexity increases, as you move up, the number of companies gets lower and lower. Finally, prescriptive analysis, that doing some optimization. It's only very large companies that invest in prescriptive analytics. But as I said, this scenario is changing. More and more companies are investing in predictive analytics and the diagnostic analysis, and the situation may change years down the line. To summarize, before we go to the next section, analytics includes a gamut of activities from basic reporting to high and predictive analytics. So that is the definition or the breadth of analytics. It includes basic reporting to high analytics. Okay, let's move on to analytics use cases. There are many industries where analytics is being used, so let's go one by one. Let's see in which all industrial analytics is being used. Banking. Analytics is used extensively in banking. In fact, the bulk of the analytics has a start in the banking domain, and it's only other industries like telecom and retail which are using analytics in a recent time. So let's look into banking. There are many examples here where analytics is used, but let's take one or two examples from banking. The first thing in banking with analytics is using in pricing. So pricing is like when the customer want to take a personal loan. Some customers are given a 14% interest rate, and some customers are given an 18% interest rate. Some customers are given a 2% interest rate. How do you think bank decide the pricing? It's determined based on the risk of the customers. For example, if the customers are if the customers are high risk, the probability of customers not paying back the loan is high. Those are the customers who are at high risk. So if they are high risk banks, what they do is they increase the interest rate to 22% and do their loans to these individuals or companies. If the companies or individuals are low risk, you know, they give a very attractive rate of 14% or 12% so that they get more and more value from these kinds of questions. So pricing is a key lever in banking, especially the banking products, and analytics is extensively used in this one, and the next one is on fraud detection. So today, with credit cards, with a lot of online spending, fraud increased a lot. So in the banking domain, analytics is being deployed for fraud detection. Let's say there are certain merchants or websites where a lot of fraud comes from. They block all the transactions coming from the second merchant. So analytics is used in doing the fraud detection. There are many other places where analytics is used. For example, there are the customers who are going to act in the next 6 months until you go to these customers and do some proactive campaign for these customers that give them attractive offers for these customers. And so in this place, analytics is used in the banking domain. Then we go to the retail. Retail and analytics are being deployed in the retail industry as well these days across various activities. Listening, Listing two examples. One is the location of new stores. Let's see. If Walmart wants to understand there should be stores in India, so it has to do some basic analysis like where is the maximum density of the population? Are there are there any retail stores in that location? What is the value addition that we would if the place adheres to the individuals who are staying in this locality? So to determine where Walmart should play this store, it conducts some basic analysis so that is analytically used in that. And secondly, it's also used in inventory management in detail to understand which other products are being sold at a faster pace, which is being sold at a slower pace. Accordingly, you will order the inventory and store it in your warehouse. So inventory management is going to one place where analytics is extensively. And the next industry, I was telling that pharmaco I was telling that pharmaceutical analytics has been used for many years, especially in drug effectiveness. I'm sure you would have heard of new drug, right? How do you think a new drug comes into the marketplace? Before coming into the marketplace, this new drug has to satisfy a lot of criteria. That's what most pharmaceutical companies do, is that they test the new drug uh, on a set population or set of individual before releasing into the market. So you need to understand the drug's effectiveness, especially the new drugs effectiveness, where analytics is again deployed to see what is increasing the effectiveness and the drug resolution that is in the healthcare domain. As another usage, analytics can be deployed in telecom, closely identifying customer support. How many employees should be keeping the call center so that you are the customer queries at a faster pace? So you go to them and give them some attractive offers so that they start using the network. So there are all again product mixed. How do you want to sell different value added services? You can go and go to the customer and give him educate him about the 3G and give him some attractive offers so that the product mix that he's using is uh, expandable and still makes more money. So these are the applications in telecom. In the financial services world, again, financial services and banking are very much related. So, especially in the stock market prediction, a lot of analytics is used. So, we have high end models in the stock market to predict the stock prices. The foundation for all this is the foundation for all this is an analytics and statistical models. Secondly, on the insurance pricing that you see today, the insurance is very so for the customer, for the person who is like 30 years, is the person who is 40, is it? Or the person who is 50, as is the premium prices. And so, how do they decide what should be the premium paid for 30 years, 40, and 50? They do something called survival analysis. They say, what is the probability of a person dying for 40 and 50? So, using this probability, they decide the pricing for all these customers segment. In the financial services world, a lot of applications of analytics in the travel are basic things like tourism, focusing at the national level. So today, many countries are investing in tourism and they have to plan for the arrival of tourists so that they are taken care of and so tourist forecast basis, the weather, etc is one place where analytics is deployed. Secondly, today we see dynamic pricing, right? So there are airlines that increase the price during the festival period, and when there is long festival period decrease the price. So it's dynamic pricing, and similarly on the call center stuff. How many employees should be keeping the quota so that your customers queries that. Moving on, analytics is not only an industry, it's also used in various functions within the industry. For example, if you think banking industry, there are many functions within the bank. And so It has marketing, it has sales, it has risk management, and it has a customer support, it has human resource. So there are various functions within just one industry that saw in the previous slides. We have seen analytics use cases in each industry. Now we will see within the industry body function how is analytics is used. So let's start with marketing. As you all know, marketing is like product design, how to make a good product, how to retain the customers that you sell in marketing, the application of analytics into customer segmentation and cross sell and um, upstart. So let's take these two examples. So what is customer segmentation? Customer segmentation is not all customer are seen, right? There are certain segments who prefer economic challenge, so that isn't um, companies or airlines are having two different kinds of seats in the plans. So that is your customer segmentation. Why do they do that? Because there is a plan where there is no economic class, it just has business class. It may not make sense because it has to be a mix of order. Not that too many of the population will be taking the business, but that is another way that if there is only again the economic class, and so there may be some individual who want a business class and they can take this flight. So customer segmentation and product differentiation are very critical. And analytics is used in customer segmentation, for example, taking the example of airlines. So, how much of the space in the plane, in the plan, does it have to dedicate to the business class, and how much is dedicated to the economic class? So we should see the data, okay? Demand for business class and compare it um, with demand for an economic class. That is as simple as the application of analytics for customer segmentation. The next one is cross sold. Cross selling is like selling another product to your um, existing customer. So cross sell is like selling new product to existing customer who are using other products. And analytics is being deployed to identify those customers who are responding to your campaign. A simple example could be that a customer who has been with a bank for almost 3 years will respond higher to a campaign than a customer who was with that bank just for the last 6 months. Obviously, a customer who has been for 3 years means he likes this idea of the company, and he has been there for 3 years. So he had higher probability of picking up a credit card as compared to customer who just been having taken its saving and product for 6 months. And if we want to cross sell the credit card, the probability of this customer taking a lower. So as simple as these rules will help you determine which customer should you do this cross selling. The next one is on sales. The the fundamental activity of any company is that first of all, you need to understand the demand. For example, a company needs to understand what is demand every month and do the planning, and how many it's back in production, where the demand of forecasting where the demand forecasting is, and how many it's back in production, where the demand forecasting is. Another one is sales force position. Lots of analysis saying that okay, it's better to place a salesperson in a central mall, which is the biggest mall in the city as compared with the other mall. So sales for for positioning, where exactly should you keep your sales force is again determined by the success of it. Well, if you keep a sales force which is giving us better sales, and so it's on the sales force positioning and on the logistic team. You need to focus the demand and inventory management as well as the warehouse location, and so either this seems like a retail store. Logistic companies also need to decide where they have to keep their warehouse so that the minimum amount of travel is made to deliver the product to the customers. So that is a warehouse location in its and other functions are at risk when we are discussing banking and discuss credit risk and how banks decide the pricing for high risk customers to speak of low risk customers, and then on the customer support. A lot of places with analytics can be deployed. One is called center volume forecasting. What is the volume? Each day the customer would be calling for the call center. So let's say during weekends the volume are higher as compared to the week. So you need to keep more stuff during the weekends as it would be as it would be. And you need to focus what will be the calls and the volume and accordingly adjust your call center employees. So other places where analytics is used in customer support called analytics routinely. Today, when you call any company and so there is an IVR or interactive voice response where some pre-recorded voice is telling, it says that if you have any problem expressing one, so how do you think they have done this one? They would have analyzed their data and would have figured out that most of the calls are due to problems X, Y, and Z. So let's create a dedicated lane for these X, Y, Z and keep trained staff who can address the queries of these X and Y and Z problem. Other queries you can press for because other queries can be various other queries which are not too often asked. So this is how basic core routing is done using analytics. Is done using analytics. Finally, today is extensively used in human resource. What is growth forecast for the next 3 years or 5 years? How do we plan for which location we should keep the company and support? So all these come under human resource. To summarize and expand across the entire organization. Um, so in our previous slides, we have seen where analytics is used across industries, banking, retail, telecom, pharma, and so forth. And within the industry, we also saw how it is used across functions, marketing, risk, sales, human resource, customers, quality. So from this, you can see the impact of analytics spans the entire organization, and this is somebody you know. It starts from corporate strategy, customer value, risk management, operational efficiency. So analytics-based decisions are needed across the organization. a corporate strategy, for example, um, which company should we acquire, which company should we not ask, where should we do any change in our strategy to ensure customers value, as we have been telling how to increase the revenue from the existing customers. Secondly, how to gain how to gain more customers so that all your customers value management. And thirdly, on risk management, we have been talking about how do we predict the riskness of the customers. What is the iteration? Are we losing these customers? What is the default risk? And same question, this all comes into the risk management. And finally, the operational efficiency. As I said, an example, a call center. How do we start the call center? Secondly, analyzing are there any bottlenecks in the process, and streamlining the process. You know, across all these activities and analytics is used, and we can say today that analytics spans the entire organization. So finally, successful analytics is necessary for each business discipline, starting from planning, R&D, marketing, sales, finance, manufacturing, and IT.